か。あの机に突っ伏してる。
そうだ。あの若者。
That youngster.
はいはい、なるほど。
なるほど。
面なら納得いくぜ。
伝えるだけでいいんすか？落第だと。
ああ。
伝えるだけでいい。
それだけで済ませる自信ねえな、俺。
I think he's hoping for that.
だってあのアホ面。
行ってこい。後で酒でもおごってやる。
They're trying to trigger him. Oh. Okay.
アホ面じゃ負けてないぜ。お前。
I like how he looks right at the camera to say that. You lot.
で、クヌート陛下の従司長、ウルフ様
He just looks like an instigator, doesn't he? Look at him. Look at him.
ゆえにだな、今回は実に惜しいことながら。実に惜しいことだから。惜しいことはねえやな。豚に乾杯で。
Oh, Omar.
戦士たる者、侮辱には剣で向ける。抜け。
He's gonna see this and he's gonna have to come in. Oh. Oh.
立て、オルマル。決闘中にゴロゴロ寝るんじゃねえ。
There he is.
侮辱されたんだ。
見りゃわかるよ。とっとと立って野郎をぶち殺せ。
That should do it.
侮辱を受けた生死の取るべき道は2つだけだ。殺すか死ぬか。殺せないならここで死ねえ。侮辱をそのままにして生きることだけはこのトールギルが許さん。
But as a brother, can you stand on the side?
戦って男になれ。今日がその日だ。敵が蝶をぶちまけ血の池でのだうし、後悔に泣く姿を。気合を入れろ、オルマル。野郎を殺せ。
Oh, okay, he's really getting into it now.
行け。
Oh my god. They needed Omar to do something like this. But he saw it. He saw it. Now, can Thorgil pick up on this? This setup? Yeah, you've just killed a man.
よくやった、オルマル。それでこそ俺の弟だ。
My turn now.
あとは任せろ。
That's both of them now, right? Oh, oh my god. Yeah. This is about to do a number on him.
殺したのか。人を殺した。
I get the feeling this is the last time that, oh my god, that he'll ever have notions of killing another man.
石か何かで潰されたな。
オルマル、トールギル。
Oh shit.
道を開けてくれ。
まあ落ち着けよ、親父。
Oyaji.
落ち着け、落ち着けだと。王の使者を殺しておいて。どうするんだ、俺たち。こんな。
親ならオルマルを褒めてやってくれよ。
Yeah. Omar is going through a few things right now.
法律で禁じられておるだろうが。
誰も守っちゃいねえよ、そんな法律。死んで当然の無作法者だぜ。
He's not seeing it yet.
どけ。
Oh shit. Oh shit.
兵だ。
And so it
俺た
begins.
ちは悪くねえ。 よくある決闘だ。普通なら罰を受けることはねえ。
黙れ。決闘は王陛下の名において禁じられておる。貴様らは王陛下に対し不敬を働いた。貴様らを逮捕する。ほら見ろ、トールゲル。
Now, are they also expecting Thorgil to...
ほら、手は後ろだ。力を抜け。剣を渡し、手を後ろに回せ。
This should be interesting. This right here?
おい、聞こえんのか。
Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah, they were hoping for this as well, right? They sacrificed a lot of men. A lot of lives. There's only really one more thing you can do now, man.
今度こそ行かれたか、トールゲラ。
It's time
もう
to
終わりだ。取り返しがつかんぞ。
send a message.
てめえに聞きたいことがある。なんでオルマルを勝たせた？
Ah.
知らなかった。
なんでオルマルを罠にはめた？
ケテルを逮捕するためだ。終わりだ。クヌートに目をつけられた。
Yeah, he's locked on.
違うぞ親父。こいつは始まりだ。敵は強いぜ。
Ah, there it is. Ooh. Oh wow. It almost felt like I felt that chill. Ooh. Yeah, it's all set up nicely.
申し訳ございません。
Nicely packaged for the next move.
段取りに影響はない。成敗の口実は成立した。
There it
予定
is.
通りにケティルの農場へ赴く。
Oh my god, it's
そこ
happening.
にケティルがいなければよし。いて抵抗するならば制圧するまでだ。
陛下の警護役の重視32名を動員します。フローキ殿の用務戦士団70名を加え、兵数計102名です。
十分であろう。フローキはいつ着く？
They should give us a nice timeline. Okay.
3日のうちには。
では3日後の卒業出陣する。下がれ。
Oh my god.
何を笑うのです、スベンを。
そう怒るな。息子が己に似てきたことを父が喜んで何が悪い。進むがよい。さてに至るに
Yeah.
はまだしこ骨が足りぬ。
Reach to the top. Okay, nice little transition to...
お客さん方、もう出ても構いませんよ。
Ah, so he's gonna go there anyways.
行為じゃない、取引だ。約束を忘れんでくだされよ。表情持ちのあんた方を送り届けるなんて行為だけじゃできんわい。
心配するな。戦士に二言はねえ。あんた方の罪にはケテル農場が3倍の値で全て買い取る。
トルフィンのこともだぞ。
もちろんだ。その奴隷も差し上げる。親父、もう出てきても。うるさい。
He doesn't want to come out.
話しかけるな。一人にさせろ。
機嫌悪いな。
約束忘れんでくだされよ。
Okay, Omar. Yeah. Wow. He's probably feeling a lot of guilt at this moment. A lot of guilt. No, it's an interesting look on his face. Yeah. Oh my god. I'm on a path now. There's that path. Wow. Wow. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, for Lost Love. Canute. Great reference to season 1, right? One of the big moments, crucial moments, turning points. The conversation that takes place between Canute and the priest, whose name I still cannot remember, but he's the priest. This man is on a mission, for sure. He's on a path, and it kind of continues here. Like his sister noticed, he's in a lot of pain, right? She can, she sees it, right? He's forcing himself. He has to force himself to, or he believes that he has to force himself to, stay on this path and take these actions, right? And the fact that his father's head keeps appearing to him, tells him that, deep inside he knows, this is perhaps not the right path or the right plan of action perhaps, but he knows that he must continue on this path. And I believe it's the midpoint, right? It was confirmed for 24 episodes. So yeah, it actually is quite effective as a bit of a mid-season finale, isn't it? It sets it up nicely for the remaining 12 episodes, the second half of this season. The roadmap is firmly laid out, right? The setup is there. The timelines are there. Everything is there now. You can kind of infer quite a bit from the timelines they've given us, be it through the mention of the 3 days. In 3 days' time, Floki and his army is going to get here, and then they're going to depart at dawn. So within the span of those 3 days, a lot of things are going to happen or need to happen. Because, I guess it's safe to assume that, of course, this faithful reunion, reunion kind of implies that it might be a happy thing, but this faithful meeting, that's essentially pretty much locked in at this point, especially since they also confirm in this episode, like legitimately confirm at this point, that Canute himself is going to be going there, right? Of course, the setup was there in the last episode as well, and I was pretty sure this is how they end up meeting, but now it's like set in stone. That meeting is going to happen. And I'm speaking of Thorfinn and Canute. But going back to my initial point, that meeting must be set up for the climax of this season shortly, right? In the final few episodes. Because that right there is also something special in the making. But yeah, also, I've got to say, it's a really good episode to come back to. Because, it's been a minute. It's been a minute since episode 11. It's been a long time, actually. So I thought it was a good re-entry episode. It didn't feel like I was thrown into the deep end all of a sudden. I get the juices flowing once again. But yeah, it didn't take me long. I'm definitely in the mood once again. But that being said, a lot of really important things still happen in this episode. No one's happy by the end of it. Nothing good really came out of it, unless you kind of look at Thorgil, who is kind of happy. I don't know if he's happy, but he's happy about the challenge, right? He's open to the challenge. Because at one point, Thorgil does realize, he does clock that indeed this is a setup, right? And after that point, he made the call. You could argue maybe him kind of taking that step kind of gave up the final chance it might have had to surrender, right? Maybe the surrender and they give up the farm. Ketil gives up the farm, and then maybe they're kept alive. But that's a big maybe. That's a big if, right? So that is gone. That's out of the picture, right? But he did make that call at that point. Listen, before I go any further, Olmar must feel like he caused a lot of this. There's that moment on the boat. It's just him by himself. And you could just feel the amount of guilt he must be feeling at that moment. he's traumatized. You know, it's a traumatizing experience for him. He just took a life, and the gravity of the situation or of his actions that led to someone's death, it hits him. It hits him like a truck, right? This is essentially a turning point. It's got to be, right? And it appears that it is going to be a turning point for Olmar and his trajectory and this character arc. It just changed him forever, right? So it'll be fascinating to see how his arc plays out, especially given the fact that there is a storm coming for Ketil's farm, right? Listen, yes, you have people like Thorgil who might be excited about the challenge, and of course you've got Snake and his men down there as well, but there is going to be no fair fight. It's not going to be an even fight. They are going to get decimated if they go up against them. Sure, they might be able to put up a fight, but you know, sooner or later, they'll be cut down, right? And you know, beyond Thorgil and Snake and his men, a few of them, if indeed they remain loyal to Snake and don't flee, yeah, it's just a handful of fighters, people that can actually maybe go toe to toe with a few of them, right? Because I mean, yes, Thorfinn is there, but come on, you know, Thorfinn, no, it's not happening. He's just not going to engage in that manner, at least, right? So that's exciting as well. You know, I've stated it before in, I believe, the last episode's discussion as well. His newfound convictions are going to be tested, right? And it'll be really interesting to see how he handles this, right? He's going to have to take a different approach, and it's not going to be easy because it's new to him. All of this is going to be new to him, right? So let's see how he kind of guides himself through this really tricky situation that's coming up at him. But yeah, you know, beyond that, of course, Einar and Thorfinn's freedom is certainly on hold at this point. But, you know, Leif Erikson might be showing up as well. I mean, not might be, he is going to show up at the farm. So there's also that possibility of him having the chance. I mean, he is going to have the chance to just get on that boat, Leif Erikson's boat, and get out of there, right? Is that going to happen? I think it's exceedingly unlikely that Thorfinn just gets out of there and leaves that farm. Especially if he finds out, or once he finds out, that Canute is coming, right? Of course, he's going to want to talk to Canute. And, you know, again, I don't want to repeat myself, but, you know, that possibility of them coming together once again, it's going to be so exciting. So exciting in the sense that both of them are so different than the last time they saw each other, right? Both of them are essentially going to be baffled. You know, once they come across the new Thorfinn, once they come across the new Canute. But, you know, going back to Olmar and the tremendous amount of guilt he must be feeling at this point, ultimately, even if that scenario didn't play out, Canute is still going to show up, right? Even if somehow they got out of that situation and Olmar didn't end up killing that person and none of that played out, Canute made his decision. He's going to show up. He's going to take that farm from Ketil. So, you know, ultimately it was going to happen regardless. But yeah, you know, there's a lot going on here for Olmar. And, you know, since the beginning of the series, or at least since the introduction of Olmar, he's been on this path towards this unattainable standard, right? The standard that is also kind of society's expectation of men, right? Or at least, you know, the people he's surrounded by. And, you know, some of those expectations are of his own brother, Thorgil. I mean, my goodness. You know, Thorgil is a demon of the battlefield. This man, this is his life, right? This is, to him, this is the definition of being a man. And listen, even Thorgil himself is a product of his environment, isn't he? You know, he grew up, or at least he heard tales of Iron Fist Ketil as well, right? So, you know, this is just the time they're in. But it was clear pretty early on, and, you know, for that reason, I remember mentioning that I'm really quite excited to see Olmar's character arc play out, because it was clear that he's not built like these people. Olmar is much more like his own father, Ketil, right? And Ketil knows this. That's why he's always so protective. That's why he's always so concerned about him getting caught up in these things, because he knows that's my son. I know him inside and out. I mean, so is Thorgil. Thorgil is his son as well, but you know, yeah, he's nothing like Thorgil, or Thorgil is nothing like Ketil. But Olmar is more in line with the type of man Ketil is. But yeah, that unattainable standard based on the society they live in, Olmar ultimately is kind of forced into killing that person, right? There was no other choice at that point. I mean, yes, you know, it's all part of the plan as well to help him kill that person, but he was ready to do it. He didn't know that guy who, some sort of assassin who's able to flick coins at those immense speeds, right, and blind someone, shoot someone. He was still able to get into that mindset of actually trying to attack someone, and having that intent of killing them, right? You see that Thorgil is quite the hype man, really gets him in that mindset, right? Thorgil himself also gets in that mindset. You know, at one point you see that effect that they used to use for Bjorn, right? Berserker Bjorn almost. So I don't know, man. I really did have a lot of pity, or I empathized with Olmar. I'm not sure how others feel about Olmar, but you know, I did kind of latch onto him really early on because to me it was clear this man is trying to be something he's simply not. So, you know, to see him go through all of this is just, it's a little bit tough to, you know, watch, isn't it? It almost kind of felt like he's stuck in a nightmare as this group of people that are sent there to kind of agitate him, to trigger him, right? To get a reaction out of him, get him to lash out. My goodness, they are ruthless. And, you know, for Olmar to sit there and take that, you see that it crushes him, right? He's in tears once he draws a sword. Now let's kind of look at the whole setup, right? Let's kind of go through it step by step, because I think there was actually a bit of an oversight, and I actually just assumed maybe it is just part of the plan. They expected Thorgil to jump in or step in because I just assumed that's a clear thing to really kind of expect because his brother is there, right? But yeah, no, it appears that it is a bit of a curveball that came at Canute and his people and that plan of theirs. I mean, ultimately, it doesn't change much. They're still going after Ketil's farm. But yeah, it appears that they didn't really think about that possibility. I just assumed, yeah, okay, you know, they're expecting Olmar to lash out, and they're expecting Thorgil to come to his aid as well at some point. Now, you know, that being said, before any potential, you know, stepping in by older brother, he makes it pretty clear to Olmar, this is a turning point in your life as a man. You know, this is a before and after, essentially. You have to get up and you have to defend your honor as a man. Otherwise, I believe he said, I cannot allow you to leave. Now, could he actually kill his own younger brother? Is that something he is capable of doing? I think maybe he is. But I don't know, you know, it's kind of impossible to know for sure, but it seemed like he was pretty dead set on that. Actually, literally picks him up and tells him, go, you have to do this. You simply have to do this. See, this is the thing I'm talking about. This is the expectation of society, of that society that Olmar is a part of. He had no option at that point but to do all of this, right? He had no option but to lash out at those guys that are just ruthlessly clowning him, and lash out in a manner that is, again, considered masculine, is considered to be the norm for a man to do at that point, rather than, you know, getting up and holding it together somehow, even if it hurts, and just walking away, right? That just wasn't something that is possible at that point for Olmar, right? He just couldn't imagine that. But yeah, that guy, actually, yeah, let's kind of go back to the plan then. I guess they sent those guys in, and this guy, the assassin dude, he himself is also kind of clowning the group of people as he kind of looks right at the camera. You look just as stupid as him. So they didn't know, of course they didn't know that one of them is going to die. So the plan was they clown Olmar, trigger him, get him to lash out, and then in that scuffle, he helps Olmar kill one of them, right? And then I suppose the expectation after that is that they kill Olmar, right? And then Kettle gets arrested because once the other guards come in, they're in for a bit of a shock, bit of a surprise because they see Olmar standing. They thought they're going to see a dead Olmar. And then at that point, they'll, go on to arrest his father, Kettle, right? But it didn't play out like that because Thorgil showed up. I suppose that was an oversight. It's quite the oversight, though. I was a little bit confused. Part of me, once I realized, oh, hold on, actually, they didn't expect that to happen. I just assumed, they kind of expected Thorgil to come in at some point as well. And then once Thorgil starts killing, then, they've got the whole family or both brothers, right, on hook, essentially. But no, Thorgil was the unknown in this situation, I suppose. And yeah, now they flee. Leif Erikson, of course, came clutch for them. Of course, they made a deal. But like I said earlier, I think it is a turning point and it's a crucial moment because at the end of the day, it didn't go according to plan. Olmar did not die. And now he gets to live on. For now, at least. The whole oncoming storm, Canute and his men, including Floki and his men, they said something like 100 plus soldiers or people, or 100 plus, a party of 100 plus is going to show up. But I remember episodes ago at this point, Snake said something like, at most it'll take 50 to 60 men to take over the farm, right? So I'm not even going to entertain an equal matchup coming up. It's just not. If it goes down that path, if indeed they decide to stand their ground and fight, they're going to get overrun at some point, right? Now, that being said, of course, perhaps they'll give Kettle an option. They'll give him a choice, a chance perhaps to give up the farm. And then, let's see how that plays out, if that is a possibility as well. I think I might have mentioned this in one of my discussion portions for this for this season, that, they've set up, or, they've spent a lot of time on that farm. They've given us a lot of time on that farm and the people of that farm. And now, the thoughts in my head are of a slaughter, a potential slaughter. There's a possibility of Einar being in that situation, perhaps. Maybe he is in a life and death situation. How is Thorfinn going to react to that? Right? I mean, the first half is all about Thorfinn finally understanding that he's never going to take another life again. He's never going to kill again. Right? No one is my enemy, essentially. But also going back to Thorgil, the reason he immediately jumps in and takes out those men is because he goes in thinking that, this is not a big deal, right? As he tries to explain to his father, Kettle, because, Kettle's really freaking out about the legality of duels, right? And all that they're not allowed. But Thorgil, who is a part of that army, who's been around that area, knows the place and how people function. He knows it's not a big deal. And for that reason, he does go in and takes them out. And he's really quite sure. Nothing's going to come of it. If it's a fair duel, he did nothing wrong. He's just, jumping in and protecting himself and his family, right? But then he gets a bit of a surprise, right? And around that time, he starts to clock it. He starts to realize, okay, this is a setup. Because you better believe if it suits them, they are going to say, oh, duels are not allowed. And of course, they say duels are not allowed, right? For that reason, you are going to be under arrest. And Thorgil kind of clocks it at that point. He's like, oh, is that right? Now, all of a sudden, duels are punishable, right? Now, all of a sudden, it's a different rule, right? Now you're enforcing that. Even though it's clear, as he explains to his father in great detail, no, nothing's going to come of this. Nothing's going to come out of this. Also kind of indirectly for us, the audience as well, right? Setting up that, okay, it's expected that nothing should come of this, but something does come of this. They do enforce it. Thorgil figures it out as well. He's not just a big brute. But yeah, listen, you know, there's that sequence as he just butchers and slaughters these men, takes them out like they're nothing. And, you know, there's that moment. There's a stunning contrast of Olmar just traumatized. And in the background, you see his older brother, Thorgil, in a bloodlust. One-man wrecking ball. You know, one-man gang or one-man army. One-man wrecking ball. Is that even a term? But yeah, ruthless. So yeah, you know, I felt like it wasn't really being romanticized. I mean, some of the animation is really quite impressive, right? But the scene itself felt like it was a really dark moment, full of pain and despair, and even the choice of score accompanying that moment, really somber, really, again, not triumphant in any sense. But yeah, I think that should do it for this one, folks. I think ultimately, you know, that semblance of relationship that Thorfinn and Canute had for a moment in time, maybe that could end up being crucial, right? But, you know, it's, you know, I'm making it sound like it might be so easy. I just don't feel like it's about to be that easy. So yeah, I think it's set up nicely for the second half of this season. But yeah, I think I'll end it off here. Like I said, it's a good point to kind of come back to. And I feel like I'll be in full force, full flow for the next episode now that I'm back into it. But yeah, if you enjoyed that, consider dropping a like, consider dropping some comments, give me your thoughts. If you're interested in full length, timer-based full length, of course, or perhaps even full opacity, consider checking out the Patreon page and supporting the channel. If you are interested, the links are in the description and the pinned comment. Also links to social media, if that's your thing. Right then, folks, thank you. Thank you once again for joining me. I know there was a bit of a break, but, you know, it's locked in at this point every Sunday. And I'm really quite excited. I am really quite excited. As you remember, you know, I was just loving the direction of this season so far. And I do hope to see you again soon for the next episode. Till then, take it easy.